V is for vacancy control. Why are tenants pushing for something called vacancy control, and what does the term mean? Vacancy control is a type of rent control that ties rent prices to the unit instead of the tenant and outlaws additional increases between tenants. The form of rent control we currently have means landlords can only raise rents by a specified amount in a calendar year, as long as the same tenant remains. This allowable annual increase, which is already higher than most wage increases, goes, or should go, towards maintenance of the home. However, when a tenant leaves, there is nothing to stop the landlord from resetting the rent in a whole new price range for the next tenant. This motivates many landlords to evict their current tenants through harassment, neglect, buyouts, or on the basis of renovations. This renovation loophole is now being closed by a City of Vancouver motion, but only for buildings with more than 6 units. Some real estate investment firms even advertise apartment buildings for sale as rent-hiking opportunities. In other words, they identify a rental community as under market and draw investors' attention to it. This practice should really be called tenant flipping. Tenants get squeezed or evicted in Vancouver a lot. According to the Canadian Mortgage and Housing Corporation, Vancouver rents have gone up more than the allowable increase 4 years in a row. Many folks accept rent increases rather than fight an eviction. Some manage to hang on by redirecting their retirement funds or other resources towards rent. People who meet criteria for social assistance should receive better rental subsidies, but trends show landlords raising rent in step with those subsidies, meaning the extra support money goes to the landlord. Real rent control, or vacancy control, would protect tenants from those rent hikes and allow people on assistance to use money for actual costs of living, not just exorbitant rents. This kind of protection was in place in the past, but tenants' housing rights were dismantled in the 1980s, paving the way for speculative real estate investment to take over community design and neighborhood growth. Landlord and developer lobbyists have moaned that protecting tenants will slow down new building projects, but ending vacancy control in the 1980s did not lead to a new boom in construction. In fact, an extensive study by UBC researchers showed that rental controls do not slow private investments in rental housing. In order to allow diverse residents to continue living in their communities, the city and province must protect tenants facing eviction by greedy investors. One way to do that is by immediately implementing vacancy control. Based on information from the Vancouver Tenants Union's Real Rent Control public education presentation by Kel Gerlings, the Canadian Mortgage and Housing Corporation, and the City of Vancouver Housing Fact Sheet. Audio edited and produced by Helena Crobath. Read by Allison LeClaire.